You always, I think in your own institution you feel very isolated, so getting these kind of opportunities I find really worthwhile. And so thanks again for your gracious hospitality. Today what I'm going to be doing is speaking about the kind of mechanisms to elevate teaching that have taken place in NUS over the last decade, some of which I've been involved in, but some of which I'm just going to be relating to you. I'll start off by talking about the 2005 strategy paper that came out of NUS. We can read off one of the quotes from that strategy paper. It said that it was to strengthen and differentiate NUS education, global orientation, intensity of curriculum, critical thinking, enterprise, lifelong learning, and effective communication, which sounds great, but not necessarily easy to accomplish. So basically what NUS mission was all about was about three mutually reinforcing thrusts. First of all, a transformative education that nurtures thinking individuals who are alive to opportunities to make a difference, are valued members and leaders of society and global systems, effective in many diverse settings. Secondly, to instill high-impact research that advances the boundaries of knowledge and contributes to the betterment of society. And thirdly, to develop a dedicated service as a national university that adds to the social, economic, and national development. I'm going to be focusing primarily on the transformative education at NUS. And that involves a variety of different strands, including this need to foster an entrepreneurial spirit and nurture innovators and leaders of tomorrow, many of the ideas of which we've heard this morning. But to do this through a multidisciplinary, globally oriented education with a holistic development of graduates. And when I say holistic, I mean in the sense that we offer the space, the opportunities and challenges to our students to discover their talents and pursue their passions and realise their potential. So out of that strategy paper, there were 8 NUS strategies that were written. First of all, we had the idea to nurture, recruit and retain best quality people, to attract best students, to provide a high quality educational experience, focus on high impact research, to inject a spirit of enterprise into education and research, to nurture committed alumni, develop a global profile as a leader in education and research, and to introduce the best practice in governance and management. These are very lofty strategies. I'm going to be speaking, as I mentioned, really about teaching, but also because it is the two primary strands of any university is research and teaching. I want to see how those two things complement each other and the importance of both in teaching and in research. So let's look at research and teaching at NUS, and for that matter at most universities. So let's start off with the rationale that reinforces the claim that research should contribute to teaching. And I can read through some of these ideas here. Firstly, that research forms the basis of content of teaching, of course. That teachers who are active researchers are more likely to be on the cutting edge of their discipline. That teachers discussing their research provide a sense of excitement about the results and how they fit into the larger picture. And that active researchers are more effective in instilling an actively critical approach to understanding complex research findings rather than a passive acceptance of the facts that come out of those findings. But on the other hand, there's a strong sense that teaching contributes to research, and we can list a number of those ideas as well. That the process of teaching itself, the subject matter of a discipline, forces academics to clarify the big picture into which their specific research specialisation fits. That the preparation of teaching materials can elucidate gaps in the academics' knowledge base, and that sharing the results of one's research with students in a teaching context helps researchers clarify their research. And indeed, the students have a role here. Their suggestions, their comments, their questions and criticism can elucidate new research avenues. And the sharing of the results of one's research efforts with an appreciative audience, and students generally are quite appreciative of this kind of high-profile research. It provides a kind of reinforcement for having done the research and pursuing further research. And so hopefully you can see with those statements that there is this strong nexus between research and teaching. And the reason is largely that both matter. Both are equally intellectual activities and must be in the academic DNA of each faculty member in any university if they want to be located in a knowledge society. There is no serious demarcation between teaching and research. It doesn't have a significant meaning at an intellectual level. There's a kind of inseparable loop that the excellence in teaching brings about joy in learning for students, makes them curious, turning them into better thinkers and researchers. That excellence in teaching fosters excellence in research. But the evidence suggests that on measures of perception, promotion, tenure, and indeed salary, teaching continues to be relegated to a lower status, with promotion, tenure, and higher salary directed to those who do disciplinary research and publish. The question is, do we want to change that kind of scenario? Do we want to raise the perception of teaching? And at NUS, the answer to that was yes, we do want to raise the perception of teaching. We have three primary tracks in NUS that copy really three of the ones that were spoken this morning when the Orange book was being discussed. And those are a tenure track, which is essentially the research track, the disciplinary research track, an educator track, which is the teaching track, the teaching focused track, and the practice track that was also spoken about this morning. Let me discuss the tenure and educators tracks and see how they have been revamped in recent times. So I'll start off with the tenure track. And the tenure track largely looks like this, that as a new faculty member, you would come in as an assistant professor, and you wouldn't be at that stage tenured. You would be given something like 6 to 7 years to establish your research, and that would require you to do many of the things that was just spoken about in terms of developing your research platform. And then let's have a look at see how that marries with the educator track. With educator track, we start at instructor, and that would be someone who has no teaching experience, has a PhD, but no teaching experience. After 2 or 3 years of teaching experience, they may well be promoted up to lecturer. 3 to 6 years later, they may well be promoted up to senior lecturer, and then after a few more contracts per hand, potentially promoted up to associate professor. What NUS then tried to do in order to improve the perception of the educator track was to bring these two tracks together at the professoriate level, so that both tenure track and educator track are promoted up to professor on tenure based on evidence from either their teaching and research. It doesn't matter which track you went through. The kind of quality indicators of either your ability as a teacher and educator have to be as world-class as the quality indicators would have to be to recognise you as a researcher. But the point is that both the tracks are now converging. So what does the promotion and tenure process look like? Well, it involves the... It involves the candidate submitting a dossier that goes to the Departmental Evaluation Committee, the DEC. Then requests for reviewers, reviewer letters would be sent out, and an external review of the dossier would be completed, and that would require something like 6 external reviewers. The head of department, on the basis of those reviews and the dossier itself, will make a recommendation up to the faculty. Then the faculty